One of the questions that I get all the time is, why should I become a licensed engineer? Getting licensure as an engineer is an arduous process. It involves passing a fairly rigorous exam, gaining 4 years of experience, and then taking another rigorous exam. For many individuals, the licensure process is scary enough that they don't really ever want to touch it. And that's understandable. But for many individuals, licensure is an entire process that will help them advance their careers and open up opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise have. So what is licensure? Well, licensure is something that is offered by every state has an issuing of what engineers are licensed in that state. And there's usually a board that is appointed at each state that's in charge of ensuring licensure happens, dealing with licensure issues, approving licensure, that sort of thing. Licensure it's a multi-process step. If you're going to go for licensure, you're going to end up having to take the following things. First of all, you're going to have to graduate from college. Okay. Now, this involves not just graduating from any college. You're going to want to graduate from an ABET accredited institution. I'll explain that in a little bit, but Doan right now, as of the time of making of this video, is not ABET accredited. We are pursuing ABET accreditation in part for this licensure reason. But there is a caveat around that, assuming that Doan never receives ABET accreditation, but we'll get there in a second. So first of all, graduate from college, get that degree, okay? Now you may be in your senior year, you may be taking the FE exam in your senior year, that's fine too. But pursuing that degree is the first step in obtaining licensure. You cannot get licensure without an engineering degree. Okay, your second step is you want to pass the FE exam. What is the FE exam? Well, the FE exam, it's an exam that's given to young engineers, usually in their senior year or just graduating from college. And the idea is that if you pass the FE exam and if you meet the requirements, you are granted EIT status. EIT stands for Engineer in Training. It's basically a preliminary entry-level engineer legally. So once you've passed the FE exam, you need to submit the documentation, which will include your college resume, your college transcript, any of the documents that you may have with experiences. You'll have, in Nebraska, they've really tried to streamline this process so that you can gain EIT status without having a lot of interference from the licensure board. This is a nice benefit to a lot of young engineers because it allows engineers to pursue licensure, and it removes some of the barriers to pursuing licensure. But you will need to apply for and receive EIT status. Okay, once you are an EIT, you will never ever have to take the FE exam again. It's a boom, boom, boom thing, okay? Once you are an EIT, the assumption is that the experience that you gain professionally is going to dictate where you go in life. And that happens for the rest of your life. It's not just a now thing. So you could take the FE exam in mechanical, gain experience in civil, and then take the civil PE exam, one of the several civil PE exams that are available. That is an option that's available to you. You do not have to go purely mechanical. You do not have to go purely civil. If your direction changes based on where you get experience, you always want to get licensed in the area where you have the most experience. Okay, so since experience matters so much, that is the next step. Here, you have to gain experience. When you gain experience, what you're doing is you're working under a professionally licensed engineer. This is somebody who is recognized by whatever state you're in as a licensed engineer. You will need to gain 4 years of experience working under a professional engineer in order to be eligible to become a professional engineer yourself. This is one of the most time-consuming things. Now, you probably won't realize that it's time-consuming because you'll be out in industry, working, trying to make sure that you're paying off the student debts, buying a home, building a life for yourself. There's a lot of things that are going on in these 4 years. But in these 4 years, you are gaining experience and knowledge that is pertinent to becoming an engineer. Now, one of the things that you can do in this process while you're gaining experience is you are eligible to, in states like Nebraska, some states allow you to take the PE exam before you have 4 years of experience. Nebraska is now one of them. You take the PE exam. The PE exam is a little bit different from the FE exam. I've heard that the PE exam is a little simpler. The idea is the FE exam is supposed to be much more academic because it's supposed to test your knowledge as an academic engineer, but the PE exam is supposed to test your experience as a professional engineer. So some people say that the PE exam is a little easier than the FE exam. That's just what I hear. Okay, once you've passed the PE exam, then the last step is to apply for and receive, whoop, I'm gonna try to spell that right. Whoop, I did not spell that right. Licensure. I can't spell anything right. Okay, and once you've applied for licensure in the state, you've met the requirements, you'll have to submit your transcript. Submitting your transcript, you have to submit a college transcript from an accredited ABET school engineering program in order to be a licensed PE engineer. If your school that you graduated from does not have ABET accreditation, you are eligible to apply to the board and try to prove an equivalent degree. Basically, what you're saying is that the courses that you took while you were a student are nearly equivalent to the ABET accreditation standards for education, and which are basically what the accrediting body's education requirements are. So if DOE never receives ABET accreditation, you should still be able to pursue that route to receive your licensure. It's not ideal, but hopefully we receive accreditation sooner than later and none of our students have to go through this. That's our hope. And that's why we're putting a lot of effort into becoming accredited now. So why should somebody become licensed? This is a very long process. There's a lot of steps, a lot of struggles, a lot of work, a lot of effort that has to go into each one of these. What is the benefit? Well, first of all, pay. Licensed engineers oftentimes are better paid than regular engineers. And some of the reason for that is because there is an actual business benefit to having licensure. Licensed engineers are able to professionally sign documents, they're able to go pursue certain contracts with governments, and they can legally call themselves engineers publicly. And if you wanted to become create a small business where you do engineering work, if you have a licensed engineer on staff, you are actually able to call it an engineering firm. It's one of the legal requirements here in the state of Nebraska. So there are some benefits to becoming licensed. Pay, experience, and opportunities being some of them. For someone like me, I want to become licensed because I like having that verification that I am knowledgeable in my subject. When I talk to people, I want people to understand that I speak from an area of experience and understanding, so that when I give my opinion, my professional opinion, my opinion has a little bit more weight when I am a PE. So hopefully that answers some of your questions about what licensure is and the process of how to receive it.